Chosen One, stop before you swipe that card. I know the breakthrough just arrived. I know the number finally changed. I know that after everything you have been through, the slow season, the waiting, the faithfulness in the dark, the precision with small amounts, the patience without bitterness, the resources have finally begun to move in the direction of your hands. And I know that the moment they arrived, a list appeared in your mind. A specific, detailed, fully formed list of everything you have been postponing for the duration of the hard season. Everything you told yourself you would have when the breakthrough came. I'm not here to tell you that you do not deserve those things. You do. I am here to tell you something more important than whether you deserve them. I am here to tell you which ones will keep the breakthrough flowing and which ones will stop it cold. Because the enemy cannot prevent the breakthrough from arriving. He has already lost that battle. What he can do, what he is specifically, strategically, right now attempting to do, is redirect the breakthrough into what I am about to call the 3 financial black holes. The 3 categories of spending that have ended more Chosen One breakthroughs than poverty ever did. If you spend the breakthrough on these 3 things, you will not lose the blessing in a dramatic, visible, obvious way. You will lose it the way water disappears from a container with a hole in the bottom, slowly, invisibly, through small, individually justified decisions, until the day you look down and find the vessel empty and have no clear memory of exactly where everything went. Welcome to Chosen Wealth Wisdom. The Chosen One does not just receive the breakthrough, the Chosen One knows how to keep it. Before we go any further, here is what I need from you right now. If you have already decided before the full amount even arrives, before the celebration is over, that you are going to build before you spend, invest before you display, and protect the foundation before you furnish the appearance, type the words stewardship first in the comments, right now. Drop it right now, because the ones who type that today are the ones who will still have the breakthrough in their hands 12 months from now. And subscribe to Chosen Wealth Wisdom before you go any further, because what I am building on this channel is the complete financial stewardship curriculum for Chosen Ones, and every piece of it was designed specifically for the person standing exactly where you are standing right now. Stay with me. 3 days ago, you looked at something, not casually, with the specific quality of attention that is different from browsing, the kind of attention where the mind goes quiet and the imagination goes active. A car, a watch, a property, a label, something that sits in the category of visible, undeniable, publicly communicable financial arrival. And in the moment you looked at it, a thought arrived alongside the image that was not about the object itself. It was about the audience, the specific people, the ones who doubted you, the ones who dismissed you, the ones who left when you had nothing, the ones who said it would never happen. And the thought was something like, when I have this, they will finally see. I need you to hear what heaven heard in that thought, not judgment, information, because the thought told heaven something very specific about where the hunger for that object was actually coming from. And where the hunger comes from determines where the money that feeds it goes, not just financially, energetically, spiritually. The motivation behind the purchase determines the frequency of what the purchase produces. And a purchase made from the energy of needing to prove something to someone will produce a very different outcome than a purchase made from the freedom of genuine abundance. Heaven is not watching what you buy. Heaven is watching why you buy it. And the why of 3 days ago was a warning signal, not a condemnation, a warning, an invitation to examine the motivation before the money moves. Because the examined motivation is the one you can govern, and the one you can govern is the one that keeps the breakthrough compounding rather than consuming itself. Now, let me give you the Hebrew word that will make this framework impossible to forget. The word is Hevel, spelled H-E-V-E-L, and it is one of the most important words in all of wisdom literature. Hevel is the word that opens and closes the entire book of Ecclesiastes, the word that the teacher, who had more wealth, more wisdom, more achievement, and more experience of every human pleasure than any person alive, chose as the summary of everything he had learned. The English translations render it as vanity, but that translation is too moralistic, too judgmental to capture what the Hebrew is actually saying. Hevel does not mean sinful or worthless. Hevel means breath, steam, the vapor that rises from hot water on a cold morning, visible, beautiful, seemingly substantial, and gone before you can close your hand around it. The teacher is not saying that wealth is bad. He is saying that certain uses of wealth produce hevel results, outcomes that look impressive in the moment of acquisition and dissolve in the hand before they can be built upon. The expensive car that impresses for a season and depreciates into an ordinary financial burden. The luxury item bought to signal status that requires constant replacement and upgrade to maintain the signal. The investment made on the basis of excitement rather than understanding that performs brilliantly in conversation and collapses in the account. These are not inherently evil. They are hevel vapor. They look like substance and behave like smoke. And the wisdom that Ecclesiastes is offering, the hard-won, exhaustively tested wisdom of someone who tried every version of vapor spending at the highest possible level, is this. The chosen one who trades real resources for hevel outcomes is not being irresponsible. They are being unaware. They do not yet see that what looks solid is actually vapor, and the role of wisdom is to make the vapor visible before the money moves, so that the chosen one can redirect the resources toward what actually holds, what actually compounds, what actually builds the kind of wealth that does not require constant replenishment because it was built on substance rather than smoke. Today, you receive the wisdom to see the hevel before you spend. Today, the vapor becomes visible. Now, let me show you what heaven observed in you that confirmed you are ready for this specific word. Because the warning about hevel spending is not delivered to people who have not yet demonstrated the capacity to receive it. It is delivered to people whose private behavior has already shown that the capacity is there, who simply need the language to make what they already sense, fully conscious and fully governed. The first thing heaven observed was your restraint in front of the glass. In the years when the resources were not present, you were in proximity to things you could not afford. You walked past the displays. You sat in the showrooms, perhaps. You scrolled through the listings. And in those moments, the temptation that comes to everyone in financial difficulty arrived at your door. The temptation to define your worth by your distance from those things. To let the inability to purchase them become a statement about your value. To carry the gap between what you saw and what you had as a form of shame. And you did not fully succumb to that. You learned imperfectly, but genuinely how to stand in front of the glass without letting the reflection become your identity. You developed the capacity to appreciate something beautiful without making your self-worth contingent on owning it. That is not a small development. That is the specific psychological freedom that separates a person who receives a breakthrough and builds with it from a person who receives a breakthrough and immediately spends it, reconstructing an identity that the hard season temporarily dismantled. You were building the free relationship with beautiful things. That is the prerequisite for being trusted to steward them. Heaven was watching, and it counted. The second thing heaven observed was your silent budgeting. Before the money arrived, you were already planning how to use it. Not in the way of fantasy spending, not the mental shopping list of acquisitions and experiences. In the way of genuine stewardship planning. You were thinking about foundations, about investments, about the difference between spending that serves the moment and spending that builds the decade. You were running the numbers in your head, not toward consumption, but toward construction. Thinking about what a truly solid financial base would require before the appearance of financial success could be responsibly expressed. That quality of thinking, the thinking of a builder rather than a buyer, is exactly the quality that the breakthrough requires its steward to carry, because the breakthrough does not need a buyer. It needs a builder. It does not need someone who will spend it into significance. It needs someone who will compound it into legacy. And the private, unannounced, audience-free planning you have been doing in the quiet is the evidence that the builder is already present. Heaven is simply now giving the builder the resources the plans have been waiting for. Stop. Let that land before we continue. The builder is already present. The resources are following the builder, not the other way around. Now let me give you the 3 specific things that are absolutely forbidden purchases in the season of breakthrough, not because they are morally wrong, but because they are financially and spiritually catastrophic for a chosen one at exactly this moment. The first 2 black holes drain the breakthrough through the door of emotion. The third drains it through the door of ambition. All 3 look justified in the moment. All 3 leave the same hole in the bottom of the vessel. The first thing you must not buy is what I call the revenge luxury. You know exactly what this is. It is the specific item, the car, the watch, the outfit, the vacation, the address that you want not primarily for itself, but for the audience that will witness you having it. The former partner who said you would never make it. The family member who expressed doubt in the most cutting way. The colleagues who underestimated you. The social circle that closed its doors when the money ran out. The revenge luxury is the purchase whose primary return on investment is not financial, it is social. It is the transaction of real financial capital for emotional validation. And the exchange rate is catastrophic. Here is why. When you buy something to prove a point to someone, you have placed that person in a position of authority over your financial decisions. You have made your wealth responsive to their opinion. You have allowed people who were never qualified to evaluate your worth to become the committee that governs where your resources go. And money, which responds to the frequency of abundance, of freedom, of settled identity, cannot thrive in the hands of someone who is still, at the level of their purchasing decisions, asking for permission from people who withheld it. The revenge luxury is not a purchase. It is a confession. It is a confession that the wound is still open, that the validation has not yet been found internally, that the breakthrough has arrived in the account before it has arrived in the identity. And a chosen one who spends from a wound rather than from wholeness will find that the wound is expensive not just emotionally but financially, because every dollar that goes toward proving something to someone is a dollar that did not go toward building something for someone. The legacy, the generation, the actual empire. The people you want to show the success to, they will see it. Not because you displayed it, because you built it. The most powerful statement you will ever make to the people who doubted you is not a car in a driveway. It is a legacy that outlives you. And legacies are not purchased in the season of breakthrough. They are built in it. The second thing you must not buy is what I call guilt funding. This one is more dangerous than the revenge luxury because it does not feel like a mistake. It feels like virtue. Guilt funding is the compulsive, immediate, emotionally driven financial rescue of the people in your life whose needs are real, whose pain is legitimate, and whose relationship with you carries the weight of love and history. The parent whose debt has been a source of family tension. The sibling whose financial situation has been precarious for years. The friend whose need arrived at exactly the moment your breakthrough did, as if timed by a force that knew both things would happen simultaneously. I want to speak about this with complete care because I know the heart that is present in this impulse. It is a good heart, a generous heart, a heart that remembers what it felt like to be on the wrong side of a financial gap and does not want the people it loves to remain there when the resources are finally available to help. That heart is not the problem. The timing is the problem. In the book of Luke, Jesus tells the parable of a man who begins to build a tower without first sitting down to count the cost. And the result is a half-built structure, visible, embarrassing evidence of resources that were committed without the planning that would have ensured the resources were sufficient to complete what they were meant to build. Guilt funding is the financial version of that parable, The impulse to help arrives before the foundation is solid enough to survive the helping, and the result is a chosen one who is genuinely generous, genuinely loving, genuinely motivated by the right things, and genuinely depleted within 2 years of the breakthrough. Not because they lacked character, because they prioritized someone else's immediate need over their own long-term foundation in a season when the foundation had not yet been completed. You are a steward. You are not a savior. The savior role was filled before you arrived. Your role is to build the foundation first to the depth and the strength that the assignment requires, and then release generosity from the surplus of a completed structure rather than from the resources of an incomplete one. The most generous thing you can do for the people you love is to be financially sustainable enough to help them repeatedly over decades rather than financially depleted by helping them completely in a single season. The third thing you must not buy is what I call the vapor asset. The first 2 black holes emptied the vessel through emotion, through the wound of the revenge luxury and the love of the guilt rescue. This third one empties it through something that feels entirely different. It feels like strategy. It feels like intelligence. It feels like finally being in the room where real wealth is made. And that feeling is exactly what makes it the most dangerous of the 3. The vapor asset is the investment that arrives wearing the costume of an opportunity. It presents with urgency. It speaks the language of limited availability. It offers returns significantly above the market rate, for reasons explained with just enough complexity to feel credible without being genuinely understandable. It is endorsed by someone in your network whose excitement is contagious and whose due diligence was minimal. And it arrives specifically, surgically, in the season of breakthrough, when you have resources to deploy, when you are looking for ways to compound the momentum, when you are most susceptible to the combination of availability and enthusiasm. The vapor asset is Hevel in its most sophisticated contemporary form. The common thread across every version of it is not the asset class. The common thread is the decision-making process, impulsive rather than intentional, excited rather than educated, FOMO-driven rather than strategy-driven. The ancient wisdom of Proverbs says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." Haste is the defining characteristic of the vapor asset decision. The haste of someone who fears that the opportunity will disappear before they can capture it. And the fear of missing the opportunity is the exact signal that discernment has been displaced by urgency. The breakthrough you have received deserves to be anchored in assets with roots, not assets with narratives. Real property, genuine business infrastructure, actual intellectual capital. The kinds of investments that do not require constant excited conversation to maintain their value because their value is intrinsic rather than dependent on collective enthusiasm. Anchor the breakthrough in substance. Let the vapor investments find someone else's resources to evaporate. Now let me speak directly about the spiritual warfare operating behind all 3 of these traps. Because there is a single enemy strategy underneath the revenge luxury, the guilt funding, and the vapor asset. And naming it clearly is the most powerful thing I can do for your financial protection right now. The enemy knows he cannot stop the breakthrough from arriving. He has already lost that battle in the invisible realm. What he can do is deploy a strategy that the Book of Haggai calls the bag with holes, the purse that appears to be holding your resources, while invisibly, continuously, through small, individually justified decisions, draining them until the breakthrough has passed through your hands without producing the foundation it was meant to build. The bag with holes is not catastrophic spending. It is the accumulation of understandable spending, the revenge luxury that made complete emotional sense, the guilt funding that came from genuine love, the vapor asset that was enthusiastically recommended by someone you trust. Each decision individually defensible, the collective pattern financially devastating. The weapon against the bag with holes is what I call financial sobriety, not financial fear, the paralysis of someone afraid to deploy any resource. Financial sobriety is the clear-eyed, emotion-independent, purpose-anchored evaluation of every significant financial decision through the single lens of this question. Does this build the foundation, or does this consume it? Is this an asset that will be worth more in 5 years, or an expense that will be forgotten in 5 months? Is this a purchase from the freedom of abundance, or from the wound of lack, the guilt of plenty, or the fear of missing out? Say this out loud right now. I am not a slave to luxury. I am not a hostage to guilt. I am not a victim of FOMO. I am the chosen steward of a breakthrough that was sent to build a legacy, not to fund a moment. I close the door on hevel. I open the door on substance. I buy assets, not vapor. I build foundations, not facades. And the breakthrough that arrived in my hands today is still in my hands 10 years from now, because I governed it with wisdom from the very first decision. Say it again. Let it become the governing principle of every financial decision in this season. Now receive the final activation. In the next 24 hours, you are going to receive a test, a shopping temptation, a request for money from someone in your past, or an investment opportunity presented with urgency will arrive, possibly all three, possibly in a single day. And the quality of your response to each one will determine whether the breakthrough compounds or drains. When the test arrives, do not respond from emotion. Do not respond from guilt. Do not respond from excitement. Pause. Apply the single question of financial sobriety. Does this build the foundation or consume it? And let the answer govern the decision. Place your hand on your wallet or your phone, the physical object through which your financial decisions flow, and say these words. I close every door that hevel has been walking through in my financial life. I close the door of the revenge purchase. I close the door of the guilt rescue. I close the door of the vapor investment. I open only the doors. That substance can walk through the doors of real assets, real foundations, real legacy. I am the wise steward of chosen wealth wisdom. My breakthrough is permanent because my stewardship is intentional. The bag has no more holes. The foundation is being built right now. And the wealth that arrives in my hands today is still compounding in my legacy 20 years from now. Amen. Receive this decree over your stewardship season. I declare that the bag with holes is sealed as of this declaration. Every leak that hevel has created in your financial vessel, the revenge luxury draining through the door of emotion, the guilt funding draining through the door of love, the vapor asset draining through the door of ambition, all three doors are permanently closed. The breakthrough does not pass through your hands on its way somewhere else. The breakthrough stays, it compounds, it builds. It becomes the foundation of the structure that the assignment requires and the legacy that the generation inherits. I declare that the three forbidden purchases have lost their power over your decision-making as of this moment. The revenge luxury is seen for what it is, a wound dressed as a want, and you have chosen wholeness over the purchase that would have fed the wound. The guilt funding is seen for what it is, love ahead of its proper timing, and you have chosen the sustainable generosity of a completed foundation over the depleting generosity of an incomplete one. The vapor asset is seen for what it is, hevel in investment clothing, and you have chosen the substance of rooted assets over the excitement of evaporating ones. I declare that the hevel filter is now permanently active over every financial decision you make from this day forward. Before every significant purchase, the question arises automatically, substance or vapor. Before every significant investment, the discernment operates, rooted or evaporating. Before every request for resources, the wisdom answers clearly, foundation building generosity or foundation depleting rescue. The filter is installed, the decisions are protected, the breakthrough is permanent. Like this video right now as your seal, your declaration that you choose stewardship over display, substance over vapor, and the silent wealth of a built foundation over the loud wealth of a spent one. Subscribe to Chosen Wealth Wisdom so that every piece of financial protection instruction finds you immediately. Because the stewardship season requires ongoing precision, and this channel is releasing a complete framework for chosen ones who are ready to not just receive the breakthrough, but to build it into something that their children's children will still be standing on. Drop a comment right now and tell me, which of the 3 forbidden purchases was the one you were closest to making? I am reading every one. I am praying over every name. The heaven door is closed. The substance door is open. The foundation is being built. Well done, chosen one. Well done.